Ted Stevens' Anchorage International Airport, the gateway to Alaska, was alive with activity. Travelers, bundled in thick winter coats and scarves, shuffled through the terminal, their breath visible in the frigid air that slipped in each time the doors opened. The familiar symphony of rolling suitcases, intercom announcements and laughter echoed off the high ceilings. The scent of coffee drifted from the nearby cafe, mingling with the crisp, cold air. But then, as if a switch had been flipped, a strange tension swept through the crowd. Conversations faltered and faces turned from relaxed to wary. Airport employees, usually calm and collected, moved with urgency. Their faces were etched with concern, and they spoke in hushed tones, clutching radios tightly. Passengers sensed something was wrong. The usual anticipation of travel was replaced by a growing unease. The background noise faded, replaced by a heavy, unnatural silence that seemed to press in from all sides. Suddenly, an official announcement crackled over the loudspeakers, urging everyone to remain calm and await further instructions. The words hung in the air, amplifying the uncertainty. But calm was impossible. Nervous glances darted between strangers, and the terminal filled with the sound of frantic phone calls as people tried to reach loved ones. Security officers appeared, their presence unmistakable. They scanned the crowds, eyes sharp, accompanied by trained dogs and radios crackling with static. The terminal seemed to hold its breath. Every movement felt amplified, every sound too loud in the tense quiet. The usual sounds, laughter, boarding calls, the shuffle of boarding passes, vanished, replaced by a void. All that remained was anxious quiet. People sat rigidly in their seats, eyes fixed on the unmoving departure boards. Outside, the Alaskan landscape was unforgiving. Snow whipped across the runways, and the cold seemed to seep through the glass. Inside, hundreds were trapped, their journeys abruptly halted by an unknown threat. The sense of being stranded was overwhelming. The airport, once a place of movement and anticipation, had become a place of fear and uncertainty. No one knew what had triggered the sudden lockdown. Rumors swirled, but answers were nowhere to be found. The silence was chilling, more unsettling than any announcement. It felt as if the building itself was holding its breath. Travelers waited, uncertain and afraid, time seeming to slow to a crawl. The sense of safety had evaporated in an instant, replaced by a collective anxiety that gripped everyone inside. Anchorage Airport had gone silent. In that moment, nothing would ever be the same for those inside. The chaos began with a single, reckless comment at the Alaska Airlines ticket counter. A man, Mark Sloan, traveling with his family, joked about a bomb. The ticket agent, trained for such moments, immediately alerted authorities. Security protocols snapped into action. Within moments, police and TSA converged on the scene. Mark's words, meant as a joke, triggered a massive security response. Officers moved quickly, trying to assess the threat without causing panic. But in a crowded airport, secrecy is impossible. Passengers saw the commotion and fear spread. Whispers raced through the terminal, rumors growing with each retelling. Mark realized too late the gravity of his words. He was surrounded by officers, his family looking on in shock. The authorities treated his comment as a credible threat. The airport became a tinderbox of fear, ready to ignite. One careless statement had set off a chain reaction. The normal flow of travel was shattered. Security took no chances. The spark had been lit, and chaos was now inevitable. Anchorage Airport was on edge, waiting for answers. The response was swift. Anchorage's South Terminal went into lockdown. All operations stopped. No one could enter or leave. Flights were held at gates, planes stranded on the tarmac. The airport's heartbeat stopped in an instant. An evacuation order followed, sending crowds rushing for the exits. Panic mixed with confusion as people fled into the freezing cold. Bomb squad teams arrived, sweeping the terminal for threats. Every bag and package was treated as suspicious. Mark Sloan was arrested, facing serious federal charges. The airport, once bustling, was now a silent crime scene. The threat, real or not, had to be neutralized. Hundreds waited, stranded and anxious, as the investigation unfolded. Evacuated passengers shivered outside in the brutal Alaskan cold, many without proper coats. Confusion reigned. Rumors of fire drills, security breaches and bombs swirled. Airport staff could offer little information. The lack of answers fueled anxiety and frustration. Hours dragged on as travelers waited for news. Eventually they were moved to the North Terminal for shelter. Flights were canceled, connections missed, and luggage stranded. Families struggled to keep children warm and calm. Business plans unraveled. The ordeal tested everyone's patience and resilience. the sense of shared crisis gave way to individual frustration. Anger and resignation simmered in the crowd. One man's poor judgment had disrupted hundreds of lives. The airport's vulnerability was laid bare for all to see. After hours, the bomb squad declared the terminal safe. No device was found. The threat was false, but the damage was real. The airport slowly reopened, but normalcy was slow to return. Mark Sloan faced federal charges for his reckless words. His joke became a cautionary tale showing how seriously authorities treat threats. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced. His life forever changed. The incident left a scar on the airport and its travelers. It wasn't the first time. Other scares, like the 2014 avalanche device incident, had caused similar chaos. Each event underscored the immense pressure on airport security. Every threat, real or not, must be investigated fully. The cost was measured in delays, cancellations, and lost peace of mind. Security agencies cannot afford to take chances. The ripple effects of a single incident are enormous. Travelers' sense of safety was shaken. The lesson was clear. In airports, there is zero tolerance for threats. The consequences are swift and severe. Anchorage's shutdown is a lesson in shared responsibility. Security isn't just about officers and scanners, it's about everyone's actions. A careless word can trigger chaos, evacuation, and federal charges. In airports, words have power and are treated as potential threats. Security agencies must overreact to protect lives. The human cost of a scare is immense: stress, disruption, and fear. Everyone has a role in keeping travel safe. The rules exist for a reason, born from past tragedies. Jokes about bombs aren't just foolish, they're dangerous. Every word and action is scrutinized in an airport. Respecting that reality is essential for everyone's safety. In air travel, every word truly matters. So, what can we take away before our next trip through security? First, awareness is everything. The Anchorage incident reminds us to think before we speak, to be alert to our surroundings, and to understand the weight our words carry in high-security spaces. Second, empathy for others. Behind every delayed flight or tense announcement, there are real people doing their best to keep everyone safe. And finally, responsibility. Whether you're a frequent flyer or a first-time traveler, your choices matter. The next time you're in line, remember the silence that once fell over Anchorage. Let it be a reminder. Safety is a team effort, and it begins with each of us. But the story doesn't end at the airport gates. Incidents like Anchorage have a ripple effect that stretches far beyond delayed flights and quiet terminals. Local businesses, airport workers, and entire communities feel the impact in ways we might not always see. For some, it means missed connections and lost opportunities. For others, it's a reminder of just how interconnected our world has become. When an airport falls silent, it's not just about travel plans. It's about livelihoods, routines, and the delicate balance that keeps everything moving. Every disruption is a chance to rethink how we handle uncertainty, to support one another, and to build trust in the systems that keep us safe. So whether you're traveling tomorrow or next year, remember, what happens in the terminal echoes out into the world. Our actions, big or small, matter more than we think. The next time you pass through those sliding doors, carry that awareness with you, not just for your journey, but for everyone's. As the world moves forward from the silence at Anchorage, airports everywhere are taking note. New protocols, smarter technology, and better communication are being put in place to prevent similar chaos in the future. Airlines and authorities are working together to make sure that safety and clarity come first, because every traveler deserves peace of mind. But it's not just up to the experts. Passengers, too, play a part, by staying informed, following instructions, and speaking up when something feels off. Together, we're building a future where airports aren't just gateways to adventure, but symbols of resilience and unity. So the next time you look up and see a plane tracing a line across the sky, remember, behind every flight is a network of people, decisions, and lessons learned. And with each journey, we're all helping to write a safer story for the skies ahead.